Hello and welcome everybody. Today we have a very special guest here in our channel. This is a person that it's been a while that I wanted to bring to you here in our channel to chat to you about neuroscience, about neuroplasticity, and how all this can help us with our learning process. So hi Thomas, welcome to my channel.
Hello, Inamara. Thanks for inviting me, and hello to everybody who's watching us.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I was telling you earlier how grateful I am for your work, because I've been learning a lot with everything you've been doing, in your researches, and it's so precious, everything you've been bringing to the world, I mean, so many areas can benefit from your researches. So I know it's hard work, but trust me, it's worth it. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you again, because I know how hard you work to bring all this information for us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, working with the brain and now also with the heart, and bringing that knowledge together and making it something that is useful for people is such and it's encouraging, it's challenging, but it's also so rewarding, and I'm glad to do what I can do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted people to know a bit more about you, Thomas, before we start to learn a bit more about your work. And basically, I had the chance to get to know you a bit more last year, 2019, at the Neuro Language Learning Conference in Lisbon, in Portugal, and it was amazing to hear you saying so many incredible things about the brain. And this is how I met you. And since then, I've been thinking like, oh, maybe Thomas could come and tell us a bit more about his work. So please feel free to introduce yourself so people can understand a bit more about your work and how it can affect us.
Well, I have been working with the brain since I was kind of in school, when I always wanted to know how is it working, how do we learn, how can we enhance our abilities, how can we understand more about that fantastic organ we have. And well, I became a neurofeedback therapist before I became an occupational therapist. Because I always wanted to help people and make their lives better, and it started actually I had a very mind awakening time when I saw my father suffering from Parkinson's disease, and at that time when that happened, I was kind of in my early 20s. There was no one there who could even tell me what is happening with him, what's happening in his brain, and is there anything that can help him? They said, oh, that's what it is, and you can't do anything. And that was my awakening, where I said, I'm not okay with just accepting what the doctors say. There must be something more. And I got to I go to the university, I read books, I read science literature, and there was something saying that neurofeedback can help with conditions like this. And I said, wow, if that really works, I want to know more about it. And but it was like there was nothing in Germany. Nobody knew about it, and then I just said, okay, I have to learn this technique, and I got to the United States, where there is a lot more happening there than in Germany and in Europe, and then I learned it, and then I practiced it. Unfortunately, it was too late for my father. My father died in between, but I said, this is something I really want to do all my life, and then I started my education, my process. I got certified. I have the international certification of a neurofeedback therapist, and since last year, I also became a QEEG diplomat, which is, well, we can say that's at the moment one of the degrees you can achieve if you're learning with, if you want to be more professional with quantitative EEG. And this is one of the most fantastic techniques I ever discovered, because you can look at the brain, how it works, and it's actually brain mapping, but we use the EEG to look at the different patterns of the brain, how cognitive challenges and emotional challenges and emotional load kind of correlates to the brain. And we can look at disorders like ADD, ADHD, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and things like this. And we can see in the brain those patterns, how they correlate with the disorder and with the condition of the client. Well, and then I started to establish the Institute for Neurofeedback, which I'm the founder and the director from, and where I started to give education to other people so that they can learn how to treat their clients. And and that has developed to something like not only an educational institute. Now we're doing a lot of research because of the many people I met since I was starting this work. I have such a great network of great people I can work together, and we can develop new protocols for neurofeedback treatment. We're working with people like Dr. Jeff Tarrant, where we do neuromeditation workshops together. We do research, and we work together with such great guys like Dr. Jody Spencer, where we do research. And then in the meditation field, we look at the brains, how they change from just a few hours of meditation. People can change so much. I learned so much about neuroplasticity. I'm so overwhelmed with all these impressions. So, well, I wanted to tell a little bit about me, but that's I want to stop here. That's okay.
No, I'm amazed by your story, because how special. I mean, I didn't know it all started with your father, and thank you for sharing that with us. And I can see, your passion when you're talking about the brain and learning, how we can, understand a bit more about this amazing tool we have, which is our brain. And I believe you were doing some researches as well about the heart. So also how heart and brain are connected, and how this is also giving us more and more answers for things that we didn't know recently. So
yeah.
First of all, I see you are brain passionate, and my students are also passionate about this subject. But I believe we could start maybe letting them know a bit more about what neurofeedback is, because maybe they don't really understand what exactly it is and how it can enhance our learning process. So how this can really benefit us, how this information can benefit a language learner, so to speak. So what is neurofeedback, Thomas Feiner?
Oh, this is one of the questions. This is really not easy to answer, but let's say, okay, when we talk about neurofeedback, let me just bring something in front of it, which is what you already mentioned. It's the neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to make changes. And I would say, in general words, or a simple word, neurofeedback give us the possibility to have more options. The brain is a possibility maker. It gives us possibilities, but this ability of being flexible and having more chances to do something else, to do different things. I mean, you can, for example, you can learn an instrument. There is always a chance to learn new things, but it's always dependent on how the brain's plasticity is working. And neurofeedback, there are many discussions about actually what is the goal of neurofeedback. Some people say most of the people would say it's neuroregulation, or it's self-regulation, help the brain to self-regulate. Well, before you can you can regulate something, you need to know what can you regulate, and is regulation everything? I mean, the brain is also a regulation mechanism. It's like a machine, but it's too easy to say it's a machine, but it's something like it's such a complex mechanism, but it knows what to do, but its own abilities for neuroplasticity there is a huge factor that we need to know about, because as long you have brain cells in the brain, that they communicate with each other, there is brain plasticity, and neurofeedback helps the brain to get more access to this huge potential of brain plasticity. So now how do we really define neurofeedback? Okay, there are two words, neuro and feedback. The feedback part is that we kind of give information to the brain what it's doing. And with neuro, we say, okay, this is neuroactivity, activity of the neurons. We need neurons to be active, and neurons are firing all the time. Neurons, we know there is action potential, and there is electricity, and how does the electricity comes from neurotransmitters, and then those neurons, they fire and they connect with other neurons, and then with the communication, that's the main thing, that when neurons communicate with each other, they produce new information. They connect with each other, and then new information is possible because the synapses grow and so on. And we have a thing called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, so that the brain cells can more communicate with other brain neurons. Well, when we talk about feedback, we need to know what do we feedback. And there are many ways how to create a feedback condition. And one of the most important components of that feedback is that we just measure. We have to measure the brain's activity. And how do we do that? There are also many ways how to do it, but we do it with electrodes. We put electrodes on the head, and those electrodes, they measure the electricity that comes out from the brain, and there is electricity. That's all we do, and we measure it. And we know that there are several brain activities what we measure in frequencies, and the frequency, however, has two components. One is how many waves per second, and the other components, how high or how strong is that signal. If you listen to music, to a tone, the tone can be a nice tone or it can be not so nice tone, but the tone has a volume, and that volume is important when we talk about neurofeedback, because the frequencies we're measuring, okay, this is alpha, this is beta, this is theta, this is delta and gamma and so on. But those frequencies have an intensity, we call it volume, and it can have more or less volume. And we can do that, and we can measure these frequencies and measure their intensity, their volume, and how much of the of neuron populations contribute to a certain frequency. Now, the next thing is, oh my, this is sometimes really complicated. But for example, if you need relaxation, you need alpha, okay? And if you don't have enough alpha, you cannot relax. Yeah? So what do you? And the easy thing is, you just make more alpha if you want to be more relaxed, right? But how can you make more alpha if you don't know how to relax? Yeah. So
that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the secret.
How do you know that you're doing more alpha? For example, okay, I'm gonna. Most of people, when they relax, they sit back in a chair and watching a nice movie or listen to nice music. They relax and they produce more alpha.
Meditation. meditation is not about doing the alpha wave in our brain. It's not meditation. Alpha is when you are watching TV and just relaxing.
There are different ways of meditation, but it's an important part of meditation that you can produce more alpha, yes. To be true, let's say, okay, when we talk about neurofeedback and you can't do more alpha, neurofeedback teaches the brain to produce more of the alpha. We say amplitude, but the alpha activity, let's say alpha activity. So if you want to learn to relax and using neurofeedback, you get information from the neurofeedback process, how much alpha your brain produces. And for example, if you want to have your brain doing more of the alpha, you get the feedback. If you're doing more alpha, you get feedback, like you get to hear a nice sound, or you get to watch a video, and then the video like is going bright or it's getting darker. You always get information about how much alpha produces your brain, and that is a very easy process. Everybody can learn that. It's not a big deal, because we're working with very tiny amounts of volts. We call it microvolts. It's millions of a volt, and it's amazing just if that volume of that voltage is kind of going up a little bit, or you are reaching a threshold, or you're getting over some threshold, and that's enough. We're just working with the activity that's already there, and with the process of so-called operant conditioning, we can teach the brain to do more of what it's doing because of the operant conditioning. The brain can learn by that. It's not a big deal. It's easy to do. Everybody can do it, but we have to inform the brain in the right way. So you need to know the protocol has to be, we call it a protocol, where we define some basic structures in the software that informs the brain, but it's done by the software, so you don't have to think about how to do that, because you don't know when you're producing alpha. You don't know how high the voltage is, because we don't have any kind of senses how much we do on alpha. We can kind of, sometimes we can, we don't even, are not informed about our body temperature. Is it 36.4 Celsius, or is it 36.8? We have no way how to kind of differentiate it, but we can measure it, and our instruments, they are very accurate, and they can measure it, and then they give feedback, and that feedback is information for the brain, and the brain likes that information. It responds to that information, and you can be sure that when you train the alpha up, your brain is doing more alpha. If it's done in a proper way, your brain will learn to do more alpha. Everybody can do that.
This is what I was just about to ask you, if we can measure that without all those gadgets, because when you were at the conference, you brought one of those gadgets that we can connect in our brain and then have some results on your screen. But obviously, I don't have access to one of those. The only thing I have actually to measure, it's my heart coherence. That you can adjust here on your ears, and a little device. I got it from the Heart Math Institute. And
they make very nice devices, and it's very easy to use.
This is what I got, so I can measure mine.
and it's enough to measure just a little spot on the body, like the earlobe, or you can use the fingertip, and that little spot, what you measure there, it has you have access to your whole body in a way where you can regularly kind of influence your autonomic nervous system. You influence the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. You can relax, and it's amazing. You don't need much the surface. You need a little part of the body to have access to the whole body. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't go that deep. The only thing I see, because you can adjust the device with your computer, so I have to kind of follow my breath and what I'm thinking. So it's got like 3 colors, like red, blue, and green, so I know more or less if I'm doing it right. And then on the computer screen, I can see the graphics and understand how I'm improving. But obviously, my tests here don't go as deep as yours. So that's the only tiny thing I do to kind of understand a little bit more. Because once you go into these ideas, you can see that so many things are measurable and we just don't do it. So it's interesting as well, because you are saying about neuroplasticity, and I have many students that they are, all ages, because people have sometimes some limiting beliefs. They think that, maybe in my age, I'm not able to learn anymore. And I have students like, I don't know, from every age you tell me, I'm going to say, yes, I have students from that age. And that can be a limiting belief, I understand, because after understanding a bit more about neuroplasticity and how the brain works, I understand now that this is a limiting belief. Don't you think?
Oh yeah. When I teach neurofeedback, I always say, and I always tell people, it's not the technology alone. It's not how many channels you have and what you work with. We have to be what I want to teach is actually, I want to teach you becoming a neuroplasticity coach, because we are creating every day we are with our brains and with our own neuroplasticity, and so we have to enable that neuroplasticity and the belief as a very strong, I would call it, it's a really, I would make friendship with my beliefs. They are the best thing you can have. If you think that your brain is great and you can learn a language, and you can be sure that you have the brain plasticity. I mean, I saw people recovering from worse diseases like ataxia, where you would say, "Oh my God," the doctor said, "There is nothing you can do. It will always get worse and worse." And that guy didn't believe it, because we said, "Okay, you have a brain and you have the brain plasticity, and we do the neurofeedback. There is chances you can change to some way. We don't know exactly where it goes to." But it was amazing. That guy was like, "Okay, I'm doing that neurofeedback. I'm going with you. I want to do it." And he was so strong with his willpower and belief. And he was starting to read again the newspaper. He was standing up and walking. And no, everybody said it's impossible. But I think he had such a strong willpower to do the neurofeedback, to come to all the sessions, and well, he believed in his neuroplasticity, and that made a big portion of it as well, of course. But we did a very good job with the neurofeedback, of course. But well, if you're learning a new language or whatever you want to learn, and new things you want to do, like it's an instrument or a computer language or whatever you want to do, it's possible because your brain has this enormous strength and power of neuroplasticity. Just let it happen. Just allow it. Just allow your brain to that realm of neuroplasticity, I would say. Yes. And that's up to you as how you kind of approach a new skill. And it's actually a behavioral thing as well. How am I with treating myself as someone who's learning? I'm learning all the time. And there's something I don't want to learn, because I say, okay, it's not my thing, but I want to get better in things I like to do. And that's possible. And you have to allow the brain to do what it's the job of the brain. You don't have to care about how your brain is doing the neuroplasticity. You will never know how it works, but it will work as soon as you let it happen. It's like you can do everything as long as you believe in yourself. That's like a cliche, but a lot of this is true, I would say.
But this is why it's so good to talk about the subject with a scientist, because you can measure it, because I can talk to my friends, I can talk to people that don't really study this kind of subject, and we are just like wondering and imagine that this could be possible. But let's talk to a scientist about this subject and see what he has to tell us about it. And you said once at the conference that we should rethink positive thinking, and I found it fascinating because I totally agree with you. So what did you mean by rethinking our positive thinking? Don't you agree or believe in positive thinking?
Oh yes. You have to rethink positive thinking. I mean, when we say you can reach everything and everything will be okay at the end, you're getting like lazy in a way, like, okay, but you're not already there. There is work you need to do. There is challenges you have to overcome, and but that way of doing things, you need to have a plan, of course, and we need, and there comes this so fascinating that science helps us so much to reach our goals. Now we know that we have our different brain parts. We have the frontal lobe, we have the temporal lobe, the parietal lobe, and they have all different functions, and we need to just let them work the way. And when you look at the frontal lobe, for example, this is the part of the brain that helps us making decisions, to prioritize things, to have emotional regulation, to have a kind of a goal-setting behavior and a goal achieving behavior as well. So when we know about these things, we can really use that knowledge and this findings from science to better reach our goals and to be better learners and to be better in so many things. And it's not just for learning, it's just also for how we are as humans, how we understand each other, how we communicate with each other. And it can help in so many ways, yes.
You see, I bring to my students certain aspects of it, like, for example, guided meditation in my voice. There's something that I always ask them to keep doing it so they can, start learning how to concentrate and how to focus. I mean, there are so many benefits about meditation. You are the experts here. You could tell us even more about, how the meditation can enhance our learning. But much more than that, we have an exercise which is called gratitude list. So from a certain point in our course, they have to practice the new vocabulary, but doing a list of things about what they are grateful for in that day. I understand that once you bring gratitude to your lifestyle, you can have more dopamine in your system, and that will enhance your learning process as well. So, I mean, little details that we can just, mix together with the learning process that I understand that could bring us more results. And I wanted to hear a bit, from the science perspective, how meditation and gratitude can help us with our learning process in general.
Yeah, and you said it already, but I mean, meditation is such a good way how to calm down your sympathetic nervous system. And when you're calming down, your brain is producing more of that molecules, more of the neurotransmitters that help you learning. I mean, the problem is usual always is stress. Yeah. If you think, oh, I'm not good enough. It takes me so much time to learn this new vocabulary. I don't have time to do this. I feel like I'm too tired for learning. I feel like I have to eat something first. I have to drink something. There are so many ways to kind of distract you from what you want to do is, and there's one component what I think is so important, that you also are able to reward yourself for what you're doing good, and to be grateful to yourself and to your brain that it is possible, that it gives you the ability, that it gives you even the smallest steps, we have to say, okay, I did that, and I did it well, and I'm grateful that I can do that. And with meditation, you start to get more calm, and you are, yeah, you enable the brain to get to this enormous potential and capacity for, and the research says it all. There is research that says meditation, 10 minutes of meditation each day is much better than doing those cognitive exercises like brain training. Like you can't learn concentrating if you do concentration tasks. You don't get better with that. Science has shown, Richard Davidson did it in the 80s, a long time ago. He let people do mindfulness meditation, and then he did cognitive tests. And they were so much better than the control group. They were detecting letters in a cognitive test. Others couldn't do it, you know. And it's amazing how meditation really enhances cognitive performance. This is why I created a test called Capito, where we can measure the response time and the impulse control on a cognitive test. And we also did that with our meditators before and after, and we see tremendous results. They get much better in response time, and impulse control gets much better. And I think what we call the standard deviation of the reaction time, which is a measurement of how well how good you are in concentration and focusing on a task. And usually when you're asked to press a button when a certain stimulus comes up, like a picture, and then you press a button, and the button press is, you never have always the same time of reaction. You always have a little bit of variation. But that variation can be higher or lower. And the lower the variation, the better it is. Yeah? And people get better in this variation. They get lower variation times, so they are more constant working on a task, and they have much more cognitive power after the meditation. It's amazing, yeah. So everything when you start learning something, you should have some kind of meditation practice and do it regularly, because that's one of the best ways to get good brain performance. And what is also very important is take care of your sleep. I would say get better sleep performance.
I wanted to know more
Amazing.
about it, because I'm so into sleep at the moment. I've been learning a lot about, everything that can help my sleep, since, lavender smell or having a chamomile tea before I go to sleep. Like, I'm really into it, because I messed up my sleep like big time for the last few months, and I'm trying to recover it. So
oh yeah,
I'm all about sleep. So yes, please let us know, Thomas, how can we improve our sleeping patterns?
Yeah. The easiest answer to that question is just get earlier to bed and sleep longer. But that's not so easy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, what we know, one of the greatest discoveries in that brain science in the last years was that, first of all, the brain kind of consolidates new information during deep sleep, and you need deep sleep. Not REM sleep is also important. We need to dream, of course, but in deep sleep, the brain is kind of consolidating the memory content, semantic memory content. And the other thing is, what was just 5 years ago, they discovered it, that during deep sleep, the brain kind of cleans up from these like amyloid plaques that are responsible for Alzheimer's, for example. And the brain has a cleaning system for that. It just not comes and then stays. It also gets away that only happens in deep sleep. So now we have another explanation why people get Alzheimer's disease, for example. We know that it's collected. The brain cells are filled or don't know the word for it, but we know these amyloid plaques are there, and they increase even, they grow more. And when people get Alzheimer's, we know that they found out that the amount of deep sleep is so decreased, and that is a so important thing. So as long as we start getting better quality of sleep, we develop and we increase our abilities of learning new things, and of course it's good for the mind and for the body anyway. Yeah. So, and for the regulation of the emotions and everything. A very important thing to have a good sleep. And what is good on that is, or what we know also is, and that's our experience, that people get much better sleep when the neurofeedback is there, when we get them, when the brain waves are better regulated, and when there is more harmony between the brain waves. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes people don't really understand the importance of sleep. Like sometimes I'm saying, like, you've got to do this so you can improve your English, and then this is the other exercise, you can train your listening skills. But at the end of the day, the student is like so tired, like he's not recovering properly during the sleep, and therefore he's not really retaining all the information in the memory. So how can you remember properly, something that you were studying so hard during the day if you do not have a proper sleep? Next day, it doesn't matter. The technique that I'm here, showing you, we can use, spaced repetition system. We can do so many things to improve our memory. But at the end of the day, you need to look after sleep. Otherwise, it doesn't matter the techniques of our, learning a language. If your brain is not recovering properly during sleep, and therefore helping you with your memory process, right?
Yeah. You should definitely take care of that, because you can. It's such a waste of time. You do 2 hours, 3 hours of learning, and oh my God, yeah, and you're not sleeping 3 hours a night. All that knowledge, all that content is just gone, because your brain hasn't had enough capacity, not enough time to process all the information and put it into the long-term memory storage bin. So it's a really it makes a big difference. Yes, and I just see the gratitude that really make all difference in my life. So yes, gratitude is such an important thing. Wow, yeah. Amazing. I'd like to measure the brain during we did measure brains during meditation, and what we see is when gratitude and compassion for others, it increases the gamma frequency. And when we look, and that is amazing, because in gamma frequency is also one of those frequencies, not only more important for meditation, but they found out that in that gamma is also important for memory consolidation. And it's in deep sleep, it's the delta. But in awake state, the gamma is extremely important. We have gamma all the time, but it's not just in meditators. But the meditators increase their gamma amplitude to really, it's amazing how that unfolds. We see sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 standard deviations more in gamma than before they were starting to meditate. And well, gamma is an enhancer for memory as well, and for cognitive performance. Anyway, for your health in general as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as we were discussing about memory, and we understand the importance of it when we are learning a new language, I help my students to understand more about the memory and to retain everything that they learn during a SRS process, which is a spaced repetition system. But I wanted to know, from a science perspective, how does it really work? Like, if I study something today and I see it again after a while, and I keep seeing it again, reviewing or basically recalling, the information, does that really help me to, keep that information in my memory in the long term?
I believe, and what I know from the literature and from the people I talk to about how can you really improve memory, it's so hard to say how can we. The memory is so complex. There are so many memories. we have a memory for like events in our life. We have a memory for smells and memory for language, and we have a memory for what we're doing. And if you learn an instrument, you have a memory how your fingers have to be placed when you play the piano or whatever. And what consolidates memory is of course one of the most important factors is a motivation. It's just not that you do learn. You must have a reason why. You must have something why I'm doing this, you know. And what helped myself a lot, and I was I'm a horrible bad I would say I was really bad in learning. I'm a singer also. I was a singer in a musical in an ensemble. We were doing musicals, but learning a text, it was horrible for me. It's not my best I would say ability, but I knew I had to know the text, and I want to perform at the stage. And I like to perform at the stage. I love to do that. And I didn't want to kind of disappoint others and disappoint me when I forgot my text and I don't know, standing there not knowing what to say and or what to do that's never. But I had that, and not just because I was afraid not to perform well. I was so aroused by the feeling what happens when I perform well, when people applaud and everybody's excited, and I feel the love that I get from others, you know, and I feel that higher this elevated emotion, I would say, and we need those moments in our life where we have elevated emotion. And again, when you can imagine how well you can communicate with other people because you're speaking a different language. I mean, how many doors get open up and you feel like you're part of all these great people you can talk to, and these enormous possibilities that come up with a new language. I mean, get that in your brain, get that positive feeling, and you know why you're doing it. And you will never stop doing it because you love it so much. You get so much in love with that feeling, what you can do and what your possibilities are. You would never stop it again. And that's my way of motivating myself as well, where I say, okay, something challenging is coming up, but imagine where that leads you to, what kind of feeling, what kind of emotions it can give you. Not all the time, but there are moments where you say, wow, I'm so grateful that I can speak to someone in a language I couldn't speak before. And well, that's one of the wonderful things in learning. We wouldn't sit here if you wouldn't speak English and I wouldn't speak English. We wouldn't sit here and could talk to the world like how amazing the brain is, for example. Yeah, you know?
Isn't it amazing? So, I mean, usually I always say this to my students, like, imagine, guys, how many opportunities can open up for you if you know another language. I mean, you are German, I'm Brazilian, but we are communicating in English. So this is just so incredible. And this was one of my motives, because I always say as well, motivation comes from motive, which is basically our why, our reason for doing things. There is a book from Simon Sinek. The title of the book is Start With Your Why. And I believe every goal setting should be, start from this starting point, starting from our why. And my why is this, having the opportunity to connect with great brains, like yours. So many great people I've learned in this field, like Rachel Paley, my mentor, and so many others. And this is amazing, but this is my why. So I encourage everybody here is watching and listening. What is your why? Question yourself, why do you want to learn a new language? I'm sure if you, get really hooked on your why, the chances of you keep going and keep learning and keep seeking information will be much bigger if you just, go there, sit and open a textbook and learn grammar. It's not the same effect.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, every start is like, and it's a good thing also in our, when I started to play, my first instrument was a guitar. And I remember that, oh my God, I was so like a beginner, you know, I can't listen. I would, when I, you know, it's just a few notes you play, but you feel like, wow, that's nice, that's cool. It's not much, but you like to do it. And the process actually is everything. Like yourself when you're learning something, it's a great thing. You're allowing your brain to do something really different, and it's possible. You open up those pathways that open up to more possibilities, and just be happy that you're doing it. Be in the moment, be in the present moment, like in meditation, and okay, I'm learning, and that's good. It's step by step. I move forward. Motivation. I'm moving. Every day I'm moving. Even if it's small steps, but every day I move a little bit more. And no matter where it leads me to, but I like to do what I'm doing now. You have to also fall in love with what you're doing now at the present moment. If you just learn one new word in a language, that's okay. That's fine. You know? Keep moving, and like what you do. And this positive emotion, it opens up those dopamine receptors in your brain. You're producing more of that, and that enables more learning and more brain plasticity. So you're getting automatically better. You don't even do much, you know. It's not even hard work. It's just like you have to allow, and be grateful. And that's all brain science, actually. It's proven.
This is why I am so pleased, you know, to have the chance to talk to scientists, because I'm only an English teacher. I'm saying like, breathing secrets, you know, are important. Like this guy here is saying, Ina is teaching us breathing, you know, as well. And, you know, I'm teaching them like how to goal setting and gratitude and meditation, but I'm only an English teacher. So I'm like, okay, let me bring here someone to talk, you know, about this subject and tell you that there are evidences. Like, this is not just guessing, right? I don't bring these things guessing. I'm bringing this because I follow serious work, serious people that are bringing, you know, scientific proof that there is another way to learn. You know, actually, Thomas, I don't know if you know, you probably do, but we are in the middle of a big revolution in the education system, right? So many things are changing in the world right now, but education, it seems to be the same like 100 years ago. But at the moment, I see, you know, so many people understanding, right, we need to look at education from a different perspective. Otherwise, you know, evolution is not going to happen as it's supposed to be, because we can see revolution, you know, in how we use a taxi, for example. We have now Uber, right? We have Airbnb now. We don't have like hotels as we used to have. And, you know, technology, medicine, so many areas bringing different ideas and different disruption, you know. But what about education? When are we going to talk about education, you know, from a different perspective? And I believe your work is important to help us in this revolution. So you are a big part of it.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, we're all part of that movement. We all want things to happen and change to the better. Well, it's still tragic that we know all this, and we look at schools, and there is, like, yeah, it's like in the old days, but many more people learn and more teachers learn, and I read an article about when there were school pupil, kindergarten, small before they go to school, children before they go to school, they were asked, well, how happy are you to go to school, or do you like to go to school? And they said, wow, yes. They can't wait to go to school. You know, they can't wait to go to school. And then they are asked a few months later, when they are at school, and they are asked, what was better, kindergarten or school? They said, kindergarten was better, you know. So they are so kind of eager to learn something new, and they are just their brain cells are waiting to get new information in. They learn more and more, and there is never a time where you would really learn more. Your brain plasticity is on steroids when you're at that age. You have the best plasticity ever. You can learn 3 languages. It's amazing what you can do. It. We still can do it later, but not in that crazy time when you're just a preschooler. And the brain has such an amazing possibility. So that is the time we have to feed those brains and get this blossom up, this flowers really growing. And yeah, if we're getting there, I think if we get more people to know this, that will change more and more and faster and faster. This process is already starting. It's already ongoing process. So we can be optimistic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there are 2 things that I understand that we can see the difference, when kids are learning and adults. Because first, kids, they don't really have limiting beliefs, right? Actually, they are going through the process of understanding what do they believe. So they don't really have the idea that, oh, I'm not able to do that, I cannot do that. While
sure, yes,
as we are adults, we have so many limiting beliefs that we have to work on. So we have to go back, in our memory and forgive all those memories from our childhood, and then you understand that yes, we are able to do anything we want, and also have fun. We grow up and we don't know how to play anymore. Things get so serious, so so gray. And kids, everything is supposed to be a joke or playing around. If they fall, they just go and get up. They don't be like they're on the floor for the rest of their lives. But we humans, we are adults. Once we grow up, we tend to be very hard on ourselves with our failures. Because, for example, I see so many people sometimes hiding behind the belief that, oh, I'm very perfectionist. I have to speak English perfectly. I cannot have any mistakes. But first, perfection doesn't exist, right? Everybody has their own way to be perfect. But most of all, once we are, on our learning process, of course you're gonna make mistakes. There is no way out. Mistakes are part of our learning process. So I think we just have to make peace with the fact that, yes, you are going to make mistakes. Yes, this is going to happen, and face it. Because if you don't really look at it, in the eye, it's just gonna get you stuck and you're not gonna evolve on your learning process. So yeah, have fun, look after your limiting beliefs, and success ahead.
Accept it, but never accept giving up. Good things happen if you not give up. And well, there are so many examples of people that never gave up, and we should all become those experts in we should become experts in failing and never giving up because of failing, because failing is part of the life. Making mistakes and forgiving is such an important thing. Yeah, and we have all the ability.
Yes, forgiving is another big part.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Thomas, would you have some time to talk to us a little bit about goal setting? Because I love the way how you think about goal setting, and I don't know, is there any strategy that we can use to set goals, and what helps and what doesn't help us when we are setting our goals? Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I help my students to set goals at the first class before we start our course. I'm like, we are not going anywhere before you understand what you want to achieve. But I understand that this is very important. Before you start before you want to achieve anything in your life, understand exactly where you want to be. But I would like to understand a bit more from your perspective about goal setting.
Well, first of all, we know that there needs to be a clear goal. You need to have a reachable goal. It must be accessible for you, or you have to feeling it's accessible. Sometimes it's even sometimes you need to have a goal which is I'm never gonna be there. But probably that is something that really helps you to kind of because it's so difficult. But I want to be there. I want to go there. I want to be a good. I remember. Oh my God! I remember that I was I did a speech on a public speech. It was my first speech I ever did. I was asked to say a few words about. It was a project we were working with. We were working with young people, and we did a it was about our. We called it new games, and we had to report about it because it was a social project, and I should report about it for people with disabilities, for children with disabilities. And I was asked to say a few words, and I got to the stage, and I started shivering like this. I couldn't believe why I'm doing that. Oh my God, I got anxiety, and I couldn't breathe any longer. I could breathe in, but I couldn't breathe out any longer. So I didn't know about these techniques I know today, but it was like horrible. And I just like, oh my God, I will never speak in public because I can't do that because I'm so anxious and my panic is going up, and everybody sees that I'm in panic. Oh my God, terrible thing. And I said, oh my God, you probably, and I wanted to speak in public, and I wanted to do that. And because I like teaching, and so what can I do? And I allowed myself to get in this moment and allow myself to say, okay, that's what it is, but let's think about how we can overcome it. Yeah? And probably it's just practicing. And I said, okay, maybe I have to be better prepared to, okay, I prepared my speech better. I can imagine how will I manage that situation the next time if that silly anxiety comes up again. How can I manage? Okay, I will breathe out, and I will say, okay, oh, hi guys, I'm a little bit nervous. Maybe I just need to breathe a little bit and then go on, things like this. And I had all these scenarios in my brain, what I will do, and then and I said, okay, oh, you must be very. It's very challenging if you aren't you afraid to do that again, and then it happens again. Well, yeah, I'm a little bit afraid. I said to myself, but if I don't practice, how can I learn it? Yeah. So I was practicing that next time. I thought, okay, and then I got better. I kept my inner practice. I practiced, and I got better, and I did it again. So I forgot about that. It wasn't just there anymore. But it was my goal. I had that imagination that I will perform well, and I will overcome it. I will train, and everything can be trained. And so, well, to become a speaker, you need to train anyway, and it worked. So again, for the goal setting, it's important that you know why you're going to do it, and you want to do it, and you just say, okay, step by step. It's probably what you won't speak to 1,000 people at the first time. You probably just put a few people together and you just test it, or you just ask your friends, can I do a test speech with you? I just want to test myself. I just want to practice. Things like that. And it's funny also because they say, "What, are you crazy? What are you doing?" But yes, if you have good friends, they allow you to do that. Yeah. And well, what is important, but there are on the way, there might be some obstacles, and there might be failures, and you have to imagine that obstacles. You have to have a inner play in your brain. You kind of make a play out of it. Yeah, you making a movie inside, like a cinema in your brain. You have to have that situation clearly in front of you. You have to see the people that's watching you. You have to see you. You have to see the situation and all the details. What are you going to do if it works? Man, what if you're going to do if it doesn't work? Yeah, and then you have a scenario of both scenarios very, very well kind of orchestrated, kind of directed in your brain. You're the director, okay? And you try to be a good director. Yeah, try to make it as good as you can, because imagination. If you can imagine something with the great details, you are a good storyteller. You can tell yourself a story, and again, you can say, "Wow, I'm good in storytelling myself." It's kind of, it's even entertaining. Yeah, and now you can entertain yourself a little bit more by creating those clear pictures, clear scenarios, your own screenplay, you know. So you have a plot for that. Let's say it's a plot, yeah? And in that plot, you allow the success and you allow the failure. You allow also, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. So, all right. So, for example, you're not in your imagination, in your screenplay. Okay, there's no success. It doesn't work because you forgot your whatever you did. Something went wrong. No matter what you have, but you know yourself what could go wrong, and then let it go wrong. Okay. So the next step is then you must have a solution for that. You create the solution for your failure behavior. And if you have that solution also in your brain, you know now what to do, and that happens. And when it really happens, you really go that solution. You walk, you follow your own recipe for the solution of the problem, okay? And then you do it. And when you did that solution, when you kind of healed that moment where you kind of made something wrong, oh, thank you so much. And then you don't forget to reward yourself for that, creating that solution, managing that situation. And you say to yourself, wow, I'm so good. I'm so good in managing that situation. And then you really do it. Yeah? And from the brain doesn't make a big difference between an imagined action and a real action. That's a good thing. That's a wonderful thing. Because you create then a reality that becomes a reality later. So just let it happen, and let brain science guide you in this way, you know, and it works, and you can be better and better in that. So you also have to kind of teach yourself and train it, but you get better and better in that. Yeah.
And incredible. And I even have here the notes about when you were talking about this subject last year at the conference. You were telling us about the WOOP, WOOP, and I found it fascinating. So basically,
yeah.
So W is for wish. So you have to define your goals, exactly what you wish to achieve with as many details as possible, right? And then the outcome. So how you will feel when you achieve that. So how you will feel when you speak English in a conference, when you speak in English, I don't know, in a new job or whatever. And then we have the obstacle, as you said. So we have also to think positively about the situations that you just mentioned. So, you know, do this mental contrasting and understanding all the obstacles you're going to find along the way, and what can come in the way, right? Understand. So, okay, what can happen in the middle of the way, and finish it with the plan. So, what plan do you have to overcome the obstacle? And actually, you don't finish with the plan; you finish with the reward, because many times we miss this important part, right? We forget about it, and our brain works with rewards. You need to keep rewarding yourself whenever you achieve something, right?
This is what I like to add in that kind of model, where you really don't forget to reward, to be grateful, to be forgiving to yourself, and not forget to relax. Wow. And it's so easy to relax sometimes, you know, because when we talk about breathing, for example, just exhaling usually it brings your alpha amplitude up. So exhaling means you're doing something for your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's the relaxation because of the heart and the brain, and we know about maybe you heard about the respiratory RSA, respiratory sinus arrhythmia, and the heart is beating faster when you inhale, and it's beating slower when you exhale. And during this exhaling, your brain is producing more of the alpha. We saw it in all these research we did in the last few weeks, because we were creating a protocol program that measures the heart evoked potentials. That we know from that measurements, we know that the brain is getting into a relaxed state when we exhale. But the problem is we have kind of forgotten how to really breathe well, because we always do more inhaling instead of exhaling, and get exhale when you need to relax, or you need a little bit more power. Just exhale a little bit longer than you inhale, and you're getting calmer, and you get your brain plasticity, and your performance is getting better. And do this all the time, because then you avoid probably a heart disease or something like that, because the breathing can remove stress from your momentary situation. And well, okay, I wanted to talk about this, what you add to this loop. Yeah, reward yourself and reward also others. Don't forget that. Be kind to others, and be grateful what others do for you. Never forget that. This feeling gives you so much power, and gives you also and releases all these anti-stress hormones. Yeah, it releases much more of the dopamine or oxytocin if you're just kind to others and feel like, wow, it's so cool. And imagine what other people do for you and what you can do for others. It's amazing. But that changes, and it's so good to be in a position like a teacher. You can give. It's so fascinating. Such a great feeling to be able to give. Yeah.
Yes,
I love that. It's so sad that at that moment giving it has a different annotation, because or teaching is different, because we cannot teach and see. We can see each other, but we're not smelling each other. We cannot hug each other. But anyway, still I feel like we can overcome this, because it's our imagination. I can have the imagination. We are so near, because our minds are just connected, and we don't need to have physical physical distance doesn't mean we have a distance of our minds and our emotions.
Nowadays even more.
Even more. We can be better in this all the time, and we can learn how we can produce more of this nourishing, of this positive chemicals, neurotransmitters. And it's so important, very important, to look at all of this. It's an amazing universe we're talking about, and we probably could talk for hours about this all.
We can. I love this subject, and well, this is your main passion, I believe, right? You're always trying to research and bring us more information about it. So I'm sure this is something we can talk for hours. So perhaps to finish, there is something very interesting that they said here. If there is something we can drink or eat to stimulate our brain. And I was reading a few things about it. I was reading, for example, that coconut oil or TMC would be good for our brain, or avocado, or salmon, or turmeric, the herbs. Anyway, there's so many things. Would you suggest anything for us to, help our brain to function better?
First of all, drink much more water.
Water, for sure, water. Our brain is mainly water, right?
But it's made of water, yeah. And, well, there is something I would say, but first of all, doing nutrition, of course, eat much vegetables and not so much meat, of course. And don't eat too much. All of this, I found Indian food is absolutely great, and Mediterranean food, of course. And let's talk about vitamins. Probably that's important. And substances. I don't know. I wouldn't suggest anything particular. But if you find something which works well and doesn't have too much side effects, I think maybe CBD oil could be a good thing to add. Well, there's I don't have something particular there. I would
So
not.
basically, eat
say
well,
one thing.
exercise, and loads of water. You're
Yeah,
already doing a good job.
yeah, you do a good job with that, definitely. Yes.
Awesome. She said, teacher Ina is our dopamine. Look at that. How fun. And Marcelo said, we must love the process until we get our goals. It makes a difference.
Yes.
Absolutely, Marcelo. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Love the process. Be in the process, yeah, and be in the present moment, yeah, like in meditation. Make it like a meditation actually as well, yeah. Exercising, everything what you do can be just a meditation. If you, I now practice like I'm preparing the breakfast table for me and my wife, and I love to make a nice breakfast, and I love to have someone be just happy about a nice breakfast table, and I think, well, okay, it's good for me and good for someone else.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, but I always high cleaning, of course. I don't want bookkeeping work, something like that. But you have to do it. But when you do it, it's like love what you do and being in that and try to be like make it different, a little bit different than before, and it can also change your mindset about it. Yeah, and we also have to ask about what is our current mindset. How can we change it? How can we get better in making a different mindset? This is what I mean with goal setting. Could be my different mindset? How do I think about things, and how did I used to think about it, and how do I want to think about it, and how do I want to be in the future, and how can I reach that? There's always something to do. There's always work we can do with us, and we are just beings in development.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thomas, I would like to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for this conversation. I really wanted to talk to you for a long time, and I wanted to give you here also the opportunity to give any final thoughts, anything else you'd like to add for the audience, or about your work, how they can find you.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on the internet, of course. We're doing. I have 2 or 3 blogs on Facebook. One is called Neurofeedback and Neurosciences. Another blog is called. It's a group actually, but I'm posting many things I find interesting there. I would love to have you participating in this group because we have something for everyone who is interested in the brain and brain science. Another blog is called Neuroscience, where we talk more about the science of the brain and our latest research results, what we're doing. So you can find me there, and you can find the community I'm connected with, and you can become part of the community if you like. And we creating a big network, so and we can participate on so many and another knowledge on the development of our knowledge and our and making friends with others. So that's how you can find me. And from there, you can find me on internet, www.neurofeedback-info.de. If you're interested in one of our workshops, webinars, or whatever we offer, and yeah, that's it. And you will probably have you can also put the link on your community so people can find me.
Oh yeah, they know you already. I spread about you all over.
I think so.
And you said you were working on a new project, a new course. So is there something new coming? So can you anticipate it for us?
One thing is we're working on the first time. This is really a world premiere. It's the master for neurotherapy. We're working together, collaborating with a university in Spain, with my friend Ruben Perez Alvira, who is one of the. He's a great guy. He's leading the IFAN Institute for Neurofeedback in Spain, and did a great work for us. And he is connected with the University Avila, and we're going to have the first time in wow, this is such a great project, and we hope that we can start with the Master of Neurotherapy in the spring next year. This is we're already like it's. We hope we can start with that. It's a little bit difficult because of all these other things around us, but this is what we're going to do. And one of our next releases from our research and our development department is that we will have a program that will enable people to do so-called event-related potentials. So we can look at the brain activity by in a way that gives people the ability to look at brain behavior and being able to assess the brain's ability for information processing. And it's also possible to have an early detection test for brain disorders, and we can look at depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, and we put it together with the heart evoked potentials, heartbeat evoked potentials, to be more accurate. Yeah, watch us and follow us. You will be informed about everything what happens from there, and also what we all put together to about information on the brain and science and neuroscience. Thank you very much for having me here, Inamara.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So many great projects you're bringing to us. I'm so happy for you, and I do hope everything goes well. I'm here vibrating and celebrating, cheering for you, because I know it is a very important project, and it needs to come up. It needs to be ready for us, to absorb and take advantage of it and, spread it. So guys, keep an eye open for everything that's going on Thomas community. And God bless you. Thank you so much for all your knowledge. And I wish you much success with everything you bring into the world.
Thank you very much. Also, success to you. I love your work so much. And that makes a change in the world. We're all working together, and it's amazing. And thank you very much again.
Thank you. I talk to you very soon then, Thomas.
All the best. All the best. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And participation. Bye.